All right, here we are recording. So welcome everyone to our College of Education orientation for adjuncts for the fall semester. So just to kind of give you an overview of who we are, and as part of our introductions, we have a dean that he's now beginning his third year with us, Dean Frank Hernandez. So you may have met him or you may have not met him. And then I think all of you have heard from me in some form or another. I'm the Associate Dean of Undergraduate Studies, and my role will be changing this year. We don't know exactly what all that means just yet, but you will be transitioning to communicate a little bit more regularly with our new chairs, which I'll introduce in just a second. And then Jane Lucina, she's our Associate Dean of Graduate Studies. And then moving to the next slide, I don't know, Robin, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure. I'm Robin Griffith. I teach literacy education courses and stepping into a new role as department chair for our new Teaching and Learning Sciences department. So I'll be working with really essentially anyone that is working with teacher preparation. So that is many of you. So I'm excited to get to work with you.
Thank you, Robin. Ashley, did I see you on the call?
I haven't seen he or Gabe.
Okay. All right.
I've been trying to kind of watch to see who's coming in, Cindy.
Okay. Thank you. So we have a new Department of Counseling, Societal Change and Inquiry, and the chair for that department will be Gabe Huddleston. And that will obviously handle our counseling program, but also our youth advocacy program. And then we just recently found out last week we will be inheriting the interdisciplinary studies major from another college. So that's pretty exciting. And then also, curriculum studies is in that department. And we have our third department will be the Department of Higher Education and Educational Leadership. And so those are those two programs. And just stop me whenever. Maybe Robin, if you can also monitor hands, because I can't do that at the same time. All right, I'm not sure if we have Dr. Smith or Prismus or Quinn on the call.
I think you have both Steve and myself.
Okay. Want to say hello?
Yes, hello. So my name is Brandy Quinn, and I will be coordinating the Youth Advocacy and Educational Studies program. And I just wanted to be here to see our instructor faces and welcome you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Steve Prismus, and I'm stepping into the coordinator of the middle secondary programs. And I too just wanted to see you all and welcome you and see faces I didn't know.
All right. And then Dr. Smith is not with us today, but she will be coordinating our early childhood program. So some of our staff, they are not on the call today. It's after 5 o'clock, so they are on their way home. But Shannon Cooper is our undergraduate advisor. Heather Doyle, she's our director of certification, accreditation, and assessment, not just director of certification. We have Anna Hudson. She's an undergraduate program specialist. She's actually one of two. So she is going to be, previously she worked with all undergraduate adjuncts. Now she's going to be working with adjuncts who are specifically supporting our teacher education programs. And then we also have Robin Reed. So if you ever need resources from the library, she is the social sciences librarian. She's actually not physically housed in our college, but she's our designated librarian, and she's fantastic to help you find materials as you need them. And then I know this is a lot of slides, but about people, but the last staff that I want you to be aware of, if you haven't already met these people, we have Maria Solari. So if you are teaching a youth advocacy class, Maria Solari, she's going to be the undergraduate program specialist for the Department of Counseling, Societal Change and Inquiry. We also have Dr. Adam Heil. He stepped into the role that Caribbean Moline previously held. So he deals a lot with our field experience placements, our clinical teaching placements, and then also community partnerships. Then we have Audra Guerrera. Am I saying that right? Guerrera? Guerrera. I just always call her Audra, but she's the assistant to the dean, and she is the one you've been communicating with about our contracts. And I'll give you an update there in just a minute. And then Lori Kimball, she's our graduate coordinator. Now most of you are not teaching graduate classes, I don't believe. However, if you have students in your class who may ask about maybe the accelerated master's program, or they are an accelerated master's student, you could be involved with her as part of your interactions with students. So I'm going to stop sharing for just a second, and we'll just go around and introduce everyone on the call. I guess I will ask your names as I see you on the screen, and we'll just go that way. So Janet, you're right next to me. You want to go first?
Oh, hi, everybody. I'm Janet McKnight. This is my 12th year to be an adjunct, and this semester I'll be teaching the senior field experience.
Perfect. Welcome back, Janet.
Oh, glad to be back.
Travis, you are next on my screen.
Hi, I'm Travis Davis. I'm going to teach the Intro to Early Childhood Ed class, and I'm a newbie.
Awesome. We're excited to have you. And excited to have another reason to collaborate with you for sure. So, Dr. Young.
Hi, I'm LaRonda Young. This will be my first year as an adjunct, and I'm excited about it.
Awesome. Awesome. And what class are you teaching?
Managing and motivating.
For the early childhood. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Wonderful. Similarly, I've got Dr. Harrison on here. She's doing a motivating and managing, but.
Hi, Julie. I do it for the secondary students.
All right. Then I've got Kristen LaChance.
Okay. Hi. I'm also teaching the motivating managing course.
Wonderful. And then Dr. Ruffin. Oh, you're muted.
Okay, hi, I'm Rachel Records, and I'm teaching assessment and study of exceptional students. And this is my 4th year here at TCU.
Welcome back, Rachel. I still have something in my office for you, so whenever you're on campus, let me know.
Okay, I'll stop by. Thank you.
All right. Anita, you're next on my list, but you were muted a minute ago, so we couldn't hear you.
Let me unmute myself. Hello.
Okay.
I'm Anita Ruffin. I will be doing the field supervisor EDEC 41151 Senior 1 Field Experience.
Awesome.
Happy to
in our early childhood. Good to have you back. And then Angela's next on my screen.
Hi, Angela Kennedy, first time adjunct. I'm teaching analysis of literacy progress.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for joining us. And I've got Lauren next on my screen.
Hi, I'm Lauren Witherspoon. It's also my first year as an adjunct, and I'm supervising the interns for the Youth Advocacy and Education Studies programs.
We're super excited, and I'm glad Brandy's on the call so you can make eye contact with her. We got Mike Wagner.
Hey everybody, Mike Wagner, my 10th year at TCU, supervision of clinical teaching.
Wonderful. Welcome back.
Thank you.
And then Lisa Dunn.
Good afternoon, I'm Lisa Dunn, and this is, I was in the spring, so I guess this is year 2, and I'm teaching 2 sections of EC through 6 assessment. So I'm excited to be doing that.
Awesome. We're excited to have you back. Melody Ferris.
I'm Melody Ferris. This is going to be my 5th year teaching at TCU, and I'm going to be teaching child and adolescent development.
Very exciting. That's one of my favorite classes. So Adam Heil is also teaching that class this fall. Brandy, so you know as well, if you weren't already aware. All right, and I apologize. Is it Chandra or Chandra Johnson?
You got it right the first time.
Okay, good.
Yay. Hello, everyone. I'm Chandra Johnson, and this is my 2nd semester. I'm glad to be back. We'll teach written communication and continue field work with Dr. Heil.
Wonderful. Welcome back, and excited to have you with us in a different capacity this fall. And then Jonathan.
I'm Jonathan Crocker. I'm a doctoral candidate in curriculum studies, and I'll be teaching schools, curriculum, and society, I think, for the third time.
We're excited to have you back with us.
Good to be back. Thank you.
Jenna Marks, it's great to see you. I haven't seen you all summer.
Well, you just have to catch me here in my office. That's where I spend my summer. I'm Jenna Marks. I think this is what, 2 years, Cindy, now for me?
At least.
Yeah, and I teach study of exceptional children. All things special ed.
Yes, yes. Jason Titus.
Hey, Dr. Jason Titus, also teaching the school's curriculum and society course. I believe it's my 4th time doing it. Yeah.
Appreciate you teaching with us for sure. And then I have Whitney.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Whitney Roach. I'll be teaching the Diversity in American Education course this semester. I've taught a few courses. This is my 2nd time teaching this course.
And she is just about finished with her dissertation. So
it's December.
Yeah, it's a very exciting semester and exhausting semester coming up.
Very tired.
Yeah. Then Sarah Godfrey.
Hello, I'm traveling, so hopefully you can hear me. I'm in the middle of New Mexico. I'm new this year. I'm teaching Intro to Child Development Education.
Welcome, welcome. We're super excited.
Thank you.
And then we have, I think you go by Jenny Hodges. Is that right? Okay, good. Jenna and Jenny.
Hi, it's nice to meet everyone. I'm excited to join you. This is my first year, my first class at TCU to be an adjunct. I'm going to be teaching children's literature. I'm very excited.
We are excited to have you too. Then I have Jessica Alvarez.
And this is also my first year, and I'll be teaching schools, curriculum, and society.
Wonderful. And you were kind of mentored by Dr. Huddleston with this class before, right?
Yes, last semester. So this will be a great experience. I'm excited.
Yeah, we are too. All right. And then I see Omar's on the call.
Hello, everyone. My name is Omar Serna, and this will be my 2nd semester teaching the TESOL Field Experience course.
Welcome back. I think if I missed, I hope I didn't miss anyone. Did I miss anyone? Okay. I'm going to put in the chat a link to, we have, just so you know, you will get an email probably from Heather Doyle, our Director of Certification. And if you haven't already filled out a code of ethics form, we have to have a code of ethics form signed for everyone that teaches for us in the College of Education. So just be on the lookout for that. But it's required by TEA, our friends in Austin. All right, well, let's move right along. I circulated this PowerPoint with several colleagues and Heather Doyle again. She found a couple of links that you might find interesting. So there is if you're brand new to TCU, and when we met with you, we might have told you that there wasn't an adjunct orientation, but there actually is an adjunct orientation. It's Saturday, August 13th. I'm not sure if there will be another one, but it's not an all-day event for full-time faculty and staff. There is an all-day event for new hires, but if you're a new adjunct with us and they would like for you to attend this event. And if you need help, if there's a situation where that weekend is not going to work for you, let us know and we'll see what we can do to get you signed up for the next one, which I don't know when that would be. We would have to find out. And then the provost office, we previously did have an adjunct faculty handbook. It hasn't been updated by the provost office since COVID came to be a part of our world, but you may still find some of the resources and they're helpful. I'm sure you're going to find some of them outdated as well, just because so much has changed in our world. But those 2 links, we'll share this PowerPoint with you as well, so you can have access to those.
Cindy,
and feel free to stop me.
Would it be helpful if I drop the links in the chat for you?
Oh, sure. Can you?
Okay. I'll snag them on my end.
Okay. And just feel free to stop me, anyone along the way.
Cynthia, I had a question.
Sure.
I currently work at TCU as full-time staff. So does this pertain just being employee at TCU or specifically to this position?
This is specifically for adjuncts. However, I could see where you may have already satisfied a lot of this information. So we probably just need to reach out to, I'll make a note to reach out to HR and find out.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. So moving right along. Just want to talk to you about some general information about what happens outside of class. We do have 2 classrooms or 2 spaces in our building that are available to you for office hours. So on your, I know you've seen sample syllabi or you have your own syllabi already prepared. You're not required to have designated office hours. However, if you would like to have designated office hours, these are the spaces in our building where you can put on your syllabus. I think most of us and anyone else that wants to chime in, any of our coordinators or Robin, if you want to chime in. So I just put to be determined if students need to meet with me on my syllabi.
Yeah, I think that also maybe Cindy would maybe say also by appointment or something along those lines.
Right, by appointment or to be arranged.
Sorry, I was responding to a chat. Sorry.
Yeah. Do know that these spaces are not private spaces just for you. So if you need to have a confidential conversation with the students, we can arrange for another space for you to meet with that student one-on-one. And speaking of which, if there are conversations that are confidential in nature, but you don't want to have one-on-one with the coordinators or Robin or myself or others are available to sit in meetings, especially if they're difficult conversations that you need to have with students. So just a comment I wanted to put on here about student cell phone use. I know that COVID has changed a lot of what we do in our teaching. I think previously, back in 2019, many of us had a do not have your phone out in class for any reason whatsoever. And now we've incorporated using our various technology pieces in class. So that's really up to you. I would say that if you don't want cell phones in your class, you want to put that on your syllabus and you really want to stress it on the first day. Otherwise, I think students are going to assume that they can pull it out and use it at any time. Sharing your cell phone number with students, I think this also is really up to you. So for classes where I am out in the field with students, I typically give them my cell phone number because I want them to be able to reach me if they're trying to meet me somewhere and they have car trouble or they get lost or something like that. So, but for regular classes that only meet on campus, I really don't give out my cell phone. Robin, I don't know if you want to speak to that or.
Yes, I'm sorry. I am promise I'm listening. I'm also following up on something I'm looking for someone online. Yeah, I typically don't give out my cell phone, partly because my office phone transfers to my cell phone, but I prefer to communicate with students by email. I think it's good to have that record of anything I communicate with the students. I will share my email or my cell phone like in the same circumstances as Cindy. If I'm meeting students in the field, it really is a personal preference, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And some of you have already received your contracts for the coming semester. Most of you have not. So Robin, we got that email from Audra today. I don't know if you might be able to locate that so we can see exactly what it said.
Yes, I actually was just looking at that.
Oh, good.
Essentially, if there are quite a few of you who are still awaiting a contract, and please don't be freaked out by that. Audra has you in the system. It's my understanding, and I'm new to this process, it's my understanding that there is a window in which we can submit names for this process, and then it shuts for a bit, and then it opens back up. So there are a number of you that are highlighted in a certain color on our spreadsheet who have not yet received contracts. And so please don't freak out if you haven't received it yet. We have you down to teach. And even there's a couple of you that I'll speak with directly whose contract may not come till the very last moment. And please also don't freak out. We will make sure it happens for you. So you are all in the process. If you haven't yet received something official yet, don't stress yet, because it is a process for us. So Cindy, what she said is if it's in yellow on our spreadsheet, those contracts have not yet been submitted.
Okay. And I would say, I think she said by most everyone should have their contract by the 15th of August, which is 2 weeks or a week and a half. It's on that's a Monday. So my recommendation would be wait till the 15th. If you still don't have your contract by then, let us know and we can pull rosters for you in case you want to go ahead and start emailing with students. However, if you're a first time adjunct with us, I don't think we can issue an email address for you, a TCU email address, until you have your contract, and you may not want to share your personal email with the students. Again, that's up to you. But if you do have communication that you want to go out to the students prior to getting your TCU email, please let us know and we can send that out closer to the semester. The students aren't going to be checking their emails right now, so I wouldn't recommend sending anything out to them.
Cindy, may I add one other thing? And this may be later on your PowerPoint. That also means that you won't have access to D2L yet, which means that you can't necessarily set up your grade book or your assignments, but you can get all of the materials ready. So you can get your rubrics situated like you want them. If you have a scoring rubric for assignments or your syllabus tightened up and all of those kinds of details. And then when you have access to D2L, you can simply load those documents onto your D2L site. Keeping in mind that because of our courses are face-to-face, the D2L site doesn't have to be really robust. For any of you that have gone through an online program where you have modules and things like that. Yours doesn't have to be that fancy. It can simply be a portal for assignment submissions. Is that fair to say, Cindy?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we each use it in our own way that feels comfortable for us. So I tried the quiz feature this last spring and it was a complete fail. So I won't be doing that again. But maybe I'll take a little training and try it again next spring. For some of the classes, some of our classes are much more in demand than others. So for example, if you're teaching children's lit, that course is extremely popular. It carries Robin, you can speak to this better than I can, but it carries multiple core designations. And so students from across the university want in that class. And oftentimes they come across as a little desperate to get in the class. And once they find out that you're the instructor of record, they may email you and ask you for a permit request. This could happen with other classes as well, but we do say that as instructors, we don't allow instructors, full-time faculty or adjuncts to approve permit requests to add more than what's already allowed. Sometimes we have students that have received a permit, but not yet enrolled. So it might look like your class has a capacity of 25 students, but yet you only have 19 enrolled. That doesn't mean there's still 5 seats left available in the class. It could just mean that the students who have permits have not registered yet. So there's some stuff that goes in on the back end of students getting into class. Has anyone received any requests for permits yet? Okay. And then you may also get requests to offer an independent study. They really want to take a class and you look like a great professor and they would love to take this class, and would you be willing to work independently with them? This creates an accreditation paperwork challenge, and it is something that is highly discouraged for any of our faculty, part-time, full-time. So if you get an independent study request, you can gracefully decline, or you can forward that on to a program coordinator or to the chair for consideration. We'll have mid-semester grades and final course grades around like the middle of October. You'll get a prompt and automatic email that comes out saying it's time to enter your mid-semester grades. So what a mid-semester grade is really just checking whether or not your students are making academic progress. So the only option you have is to enter a U for unsatisfactory or nothing at all. So this prompts students, particularly for students who are on scholarships, it flags their advisors. It can also flag the chairs and associate deans, and as well as scholarships. And then final course grades, that's a whole other matter that we'll talk to you about later in the semester. There's several steps that you go through, and if we showed you right now how to do that online, you probably wouldn't remember. So we'll give you a refresher as we get closer to the end of the semester. Also, speaking about the end of the semester, we have options of giving students an incomplete. Students can choose to designate specific classes as a pass no credit. So let's say, for example, they're taking a class outside the college and it's not really associated with a major requirement, but it is associated with an elective that they've got to have in order to get a degree. So they can choose, I think they have up to 2 classes that they can choose while a student at TCU that they can designate pass no credits. And so if they're going to make a D in whatever the class is, and they don't want that D to be impact their GPA, they can go in on their end, not your end, but select pass no credit. You won't ever notice this on your end because you'll enter whatever the grade they've earned, but the registrar will then put a pass no credit. You would know about this in a situation where a student makes a mistake. So for example, students are not to designate pass no credit for classes that are taken in their major. So if they are education majors and they choose to pass no credit your class, when they realize they've done that, they're going to panic and they'll probably come to you first. And in that case, you would want to go to a coordinator or to a program chair to get that resolved. As for an incomplete, oh wait, any questions about that pass no credit? And then the other matter that comes up at the end of the semester, if a student is struggling or they're not going to be able to get an assignment in on time, we reserve our incompletes for students who really have something major going on at the end of the semester and they're not going to get their work done. So for example, maybe they get COVID during finals week and they can't take the final exam. Maybe they have a car accident. Maybe something traumatic happens in their family. Who knows? Something that is out of the norm that happens towards the end of the semester and they're not able to get all their work done before the end of the semester. We still kind of discourage giving an incomplete because what happens is the students have from the end of the semester through spring break, right? For the spring semester to get that work resolved with you. It is just as easy for you to submit a change of grade. Let's say they turn in their work January 1st, you submit a change of grade, and then you know, the chairs and myself, we approve that and it automatically changes their grade. So as much as you can, I would avoid the incomplete grades. If the students don't resolve the incomplete by spring break or about spring break, then that grade automatically rolls to an F. So if they were going to earn a D in your class, but you gave them an incomplete, and then they don't resolve it, it goes from what would have been a D to an F. So it's actually better just to issue the grade that they've earned, and then we'll work it out later. It is not a problem for us at all to change a grade later. All right, so forwarding job opportunities to students. TCU has policies about how we communicate opportunities with them. We don't ever forward a, hey, you know, this school is looking for a teacher. That seems like a safe thing to forward because we know the school districts are accredited and all those types of things. But all job opportunities have to go through what we call handshake. And that's our career consultant, Melanie Carlson. And so she vets them. So otherwise, we can't know for sure if what we're forwarding is actually a real job, or if maybe we're forwarding a scam of a job that then puts our students in danger. So please don't forward job opportunities with students. Please don't share. You'll often get requests from people asking for the names of your students so they can send out a survey. Please don't do that. Don't ever share their contact with anyone outside of TCU. And then also please don't forward surveys to our students because we don't know if those have been vetted. Communication with parents. This is a tricky situation, and we've had all kinds of stories that have come from this. So with FERPA, with our students being over the age of 18, they're legally adults. And so technically we don't communicate with anyone without their permission, without the student's written permission. So there is a portal through my.tcu.edu where students can go in and designate, they turn the FERPA on or they turn the FERPA off. Well, it's kind of a little bit of a misnomer because each communication that you have with a parent has to be specific to a topic. You can't just say, you can talk to my parents about anything. It has to be, you can talk to my parents about this one scholarship I'm receiving, or you can talk to my parents about this incident I had that gave me a referral to dean of students. It has to be something specific. And so if you have a student who, and there's a parent situation, it is totally fine for you to send an email to the student and say, is it okay if I talk to your mom or your dad about XYZ? If the student replies to you and you have it in writing, then that's fine. You don't need to do anything else. You can have that conversation with the parents. The flip side of this is the law with FERPA also states that even though students are over the age of 18, if the parents are still claiming that child as a dependent on their taxes, technically we have to talk to parents about whatever it is that they ask questions about. The flip side of that is we don't see these parents' tax returns, so we don't have any way to verify if a kid is on, one of their dependents. And I certainly don't want to ask a parent to send me their tax returns and see their social security number and that kind of stuff. So that's a little bit of, that's the backstory, but the easiest way is just to email with the students and ask. We have had some situations where students did not want us communicating with parents, and parents accessed the students' emails and sent emails saying they were the student when they were not. We've had parents get into the students' portals and flip on the FERPA sharing thing when the student actually did not give permission for the parents to have access to things. So if you're in a situation with a student and you feel like there's some manipulation going on, reach out to us, because what we've had to do in the past in those situations is work with dean of students to come up with an agreement that the only way we can get permission from the student, those particular students, was to actually have the students come to our office and give us verbal permission to speak with their parents. So that's a really rare situation, but it has happened. And so just kind of keep that in mind with parents. Sometimes parents will get really anxious and they can't wait for the student or what. And I often have conversations with parents where I say, I can't really talk about Sarah's situation, but I can tell you this is how we handle all students that are experiencing XYZ, right? And so I'm giving general information about how we would handle a situation with any student, not just the student, not just their student. All right, and then parking. I'm going to let someone else to speak to parking because I don't have a parking pass. I walk to work every day. Someone else, maybe another adjunct that's taught with us for a while, want to talk about parking?
Parking can be fun. You just get your, you need to get your permit from the police department. They'll need to know your TCU ID number and that kind of thing and where you're teaching. And I'm sure I'm parking in the wrong lot, but so far I've been lucky. But you want to get to campus a little bit early because you often have to, especially if you're teaching, like I teach at 5:30. So I'm waiting for students to leave the lots they're not supposed to be in so that I can get a parking spot. So that's just my 2-year adjunct advice.
And Jenna, do you pay, does it come out of your adjunct pay or did you prepay for that up front?
I didn't pay I've never paid for it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it'll get deducted from your paycheck likely, depending on how you sign up. So even for adjunct pay, I think that's how it would go. And you can go on tcu.edu and click on the parking map, and depending on what parking pass you get, faculty, staff, reserve, whatever the case may be, you can click on it and it'll show you the lots that you're to where you would avoid getting any tickets or anything like that. And there are seasons like early on in the semester, students absolutely park absolutely everywhere. But then there's seasons towards breaks and things like that where there's a bit more. But I agree with giving some extra time. There's also a bit of a faculty staff rush out that happens around that 5 to 5:30 space, that likely some of the spaces you would be coming to park into, staff are vacating during that time as well, that have been on campus during the working day if you have an evening course.
I've never had to pay for parking. I just went to the police department and they just gave it to me. So I've never had to pay for my parking pass.
That's really good. I wasn't sure how that worked with people that are.
Yeah,
just
adjuncts are parking. We're not charged for parking as an adjunct.
Oh, that's wonderful. I would discourage you from parking anywhere over by the bookstore. They will tow if they see you walking to campus rather than walking into the bookstore. I know, because it's happened to my son. He was going to meet me at the bookstore when they had like their, they have that sale at Christmas or whatever. And so he parked at the bookstore. We were going to go Christmas shopping together with the discount or whatever that they give us one day. And he walked over to my office to escort me to the bookstore. And then we shopped and shopped and shopped, and he left and went outside and his car was gone. So I'm like, really? We were really here shopping. So
yeah. Those lots and then any of the parking meter spaces are actually policed by Fort Worth PD. And then our actual parking lots that are TCU designated are policed by PD, and you will find a much more pleasant experience with TCU PD in my experience than Fort Worth PD. It's also higher tickets and things like that typically if you get the Fort Worth PD side of things. So that's another reason I'd pay attention to the parking map in my experience.
Yeah.
And do y'all know if it's, I'm sorry, Anita, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to jump in here with my experience last fall with parking. The designated parking space was across the street from the bookstore, and I had an 8 o'clock class. So I became very familiar with the staff at Einstein's because I had to get there before the big rush came in. So that was my experience. I'll never forget it.
And do you know, Jason, maybe you know this, after 5 or 5:30, does the parking change in terms of where people can park, or is it still same laws at that time?
Typically it's same laws. The things that change things is you have to pay attention to if it's game day tomorrow, right? So like pay attention to the game day emails that will end up coming out that lets you know when lots need to be cleared. So that sometimes, especially if you're ever parking in a spot that you notice a number on the bottom, that actually means it's designated for season ticket holders as well. And so that changes for things. But yeah, I mean, I didn't know that adjuncts don't have to pay for parking. It does make me wonder if it's just free or if they find a way to pull it from payroll or not. But that'd be really cool. That's really cool if it is free. That's really helpful for y'all. I'm staff in the housing department as well, so I'm not just adjunct. So I don't get free parking, so that would make me very jealous.
I've never paid for it in 2 years. I mean, they don't pull it from your account. I go in and fill out this little slip when I go into the police department, and they're very nice. And they say, here you go.
I wonder if I can pull that off. Highly unlikely because they know me because of my other role, but.
All right. Anything else or any other questions about the items on this slide? All right. Moving right ahead. So regarding students, we had an office that previously was called Campus Life, and it's now called the Dean of Students. And so the Dean of Students is kind of, anybody that disagrees or has a better way, I think of it, it's kind of like our triage. So any situation that a student might encounter kind of gets vetted by the Dean of Students and then sent out to wherever it needs to go. So if a student maybe hasn't, a disability in some way, doesn't know where to go, they go to Dean of Students, and then Dean of Students routes them on to Office of Student Access. Let's say a student comes with some mental health concerns, Dean of Students would route them to the counseling center, so on and so forth. They also, if a student has an extenuating circumstance, most often if a student is ill or hospitalized, or there's been a death in the family or something like that, they vet the that's okay. They vet the situation to make sure that it's an accurate situation, and then can communicate with faculty. So you might get an email from Dean of Students that says, we had so-and-so in our office. They shared, that there have been circumstances that have impacted their academic progress, and we have verified that these are authentic situation, or this is an authentic situation, and we would like to ask, that you consider working with a student, right? So the key term there is they will ask us to consider working and making an exception or something with the student, but ultimately you as the professor have the final say on what you're willing to work with and not work with. This also includes working with our student athletes. So students who are out, you'll get an email that says that students are out for university excused or university official absences. So just because a student might be traveling with, the marching band, and they have a documented university engagement that they are participating in, that doesn't automatically excuse them from whatever you're doing in your class, whatever they are doing in your class. I had a situation a few years ago where I had some student athletes who missed 13 of the 16 weeks of the semester that they were in class with me. And that's when I learned that, wait, you still have to complete your work. You still have to be able to participate. So if you have a student who's repeatedly having conflicts and they're coming across as being university acknowledged, you still might want to visit with a chair or coordinator about how to address that and whether or not the student should remain in your class. Anything else that you can think about, Dean of Students, that I should share here?
Do you have any slides about the student of concern form?
Okay, so I think that's on the next, the
Okay.
next slide. Yeah.
I think, Cindy, I would just say, err on the side of checking on students, rather than just assuming they just don't care. Like, just check, just say, are you
Yes.
okay? So err on the side of checking.
Yes. And Dean of Students can also arrange for a wellness visit. I will say wellness visits are kind of reserved for if you feel like there's an impending, very dire situation that needs to be responded to right now. So if a student has ongoing mental health concerns, there would have to be something that is pressing in that moment that you think needs to have a wellness visit. And the wellness visits are conducted by our police officers. So you also have to think about, if a wellness visit is needed, think about how that would be received by the student. So in my interaction, because I deal with all kinds of student situations, I generally reach out to Dean of Students before I get involved in responding to a situation to find out if they have, hey, we're having this concern about the student. Do you have anything on file? Are there other things going on? Are they having problems in their other classes in other colleges? And while they may or may not give me specific details, they will come back and say, no, we haven't seen the student, or we are working with the student. And that information is helpful before I have that first conversation. All right, so moving on. So Jason was asking about, I think this is what you're asking about. Is that right? The academic, like the yellow flag?
Yeah, I think there's an actual link on the Dean of Students website for any concerns. Like if you have a student concern, you can click on that link and submit it that way as well, if I remember correctly.
Oh, okay, on the Dean of Students.
On the Dean of Students, I can try and find it and maybe drop it in the chat back.
Okay. If you choose to use the university-wide concern link, that's fine. However, for situations where maybe we're getting involved with the students, we have a process in our college, and I know, Jason, that you know about this. I'm just speaking in general. We have a process in our college. We refer to it kind of as a yellow flag. And so let's say we have a student who's repeatedly absent. Maybe as a first point of contact, we would have a conversation with that student. Hey, what's going on? And they might say, oh, you know, I just can't wake up in the morning, or I have this situation or that situation. So as a first point of contact, if it's not a really critical situation, you just have a conversation. As a second point of contact, we would hold one of these academic performance and professional warning conversations. And so I know it says warning, maybe we ought to think about changing that, because it's really kind of an action plan to get a student back on track. Like if they're not able to get up, so what can we do? What can the student do? What are some potential strategies that you can talk about with that student? And set my alarm, get to bed earlier, you know, eat dinner, have a good night's sleep, something like that. And so then we have the concerns are being addressed, the strategies and solutions are being put forth. The student signs off on it, the faculty member signs off on it, and then it's filed with, eventually it comes to me for my signature. And so in our college, the general policy is if you get 3 of these warnings, or, you know, 3 of these yellow flag meetings, you may be removed from the college as one of our majors. It kind of depends on what the circumstance is. It could be that something is so concerning that a single warning could result in a student being removed from our college. But what happens with this form is it's routed. If these students are teacher education majors, it goes into their certification file, our internal certification file. It never goes to the state, stays with us. We also send a copy to dean of students so that they have it in their records as well. And then we monitor. Robin, do you want to speak a little bit about how we bring up faculty concerns about students in our meetings?
Oh, yes. Typically, if a student has hit a rough patch, you know, maybe there is something going on in their personal lives, or maybe they just got overwhelmed with life, and that happens sometimes. It typically is not just happening in one course. So many of our students are in, particularly our education students, are in a cohort or in the block, or are likely taking other education courses. So in our monthly faculty meetings, in those program areas, we just say, are there any student concerns? And then at that point, we may just check in and just share things that we might be noticing as a trend with a student. And that gives us an opportunity to really think about, do we need to be intervening in more formal ways for that student? And many of the students really appreciate knowing that somebody is concerned about them and somebody is noticing that their behaviors aren't their typical behaviors. And they do appreciate, they do appreciate somebody noticing. And we really pride ourselves in not losing our students in terms of the progress that they're making. So as a faculty, we do sometimes follow up about that, and somebody might say, well, yeah, I'll go ahead and meet with the student and share our concerns. So I think, is that what you were talking about, Cindy?
Yeah.
And it usually only takes one meeting to get students back on track, and it's really been quite successful process for the most part.
One of the challenges that we find is, you know, sometimes faculty are hesitant to have these conversations because maybe someone's just a freshman, or someone's just a sophomore, or someone's just a junior. Well, if you get to your senior year and you've been late to all of your classes consistently, that's an issue that should have been brought up earlier. So we're not doing our students a service by not having these conversations when we feel like they need to take place. So do keep that in mind as well. The way this works is you have a concern, you would take it to a coordinator or to the chair or both, and you would have a conversation with the student and with another faculty member or a program coordinator or chair. We don't ever have these conversations just one-on-one with the students. So keep that in mind as well. We're happy to help navigate that process with you. Hopefully we won't have that this fall. So I don't know if Brandy and Steve, maybe we want to speak a little bit about their experience, if there's with the Kaler Center and with TCU Online and the syllabus templates and disclosures.
didn't get myself unmuted there. Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's experience and how they use those tools is a little bit different, but just so you know, we have the Kaler Center provides syllabus templates that as everyone in this college knows, are very long and have a lot of different information in them, but it will also, especially if it's your first time in here, it'll make sure you have the language that you're required to have on your syllabus as well to use that. And so I typically use them. Sometimes I rearrange the order of where things occur, but I do use those templates. And then in terms of TCU Online, I think our students appreciate us using it, and because it's a sort of one-stop shop for everything that they need for their classes. And so the Kaler Center offers a lot of good ways, like from 1-hour workshops to boot camps, all kinds of different ways to learn about TCU Online. So I would encourage you to sort of at least make sure syllabus and schedule information is done through there. And then depending on your course, several other possibilities are there. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't remember if I put this on, if it's on the slides or not, but for final exams, we won't get dates, locations, and times for final exams until probably, I would say, the middle or end of October. So in your schedule, if you can just put final on, for that finals week, that the date and time will be, to be determined. Because that comes directly from the registrar. Brandy, while you're still on my screen, do you want to talk about, like what are the expectations, university expectations for finals week in terms of?
So you need to make sure that you actually have created essentially what is a final exam or a cumulative exercise that serves the purpose of a final exam. So, and that needs to be noted on your syllabus. There are really limited exceptions for changing the scheduling of that, largely related to graduating seniors who may need to take it early, to students who have 3 exams that end up getting scheduled on one day. They can make a request to change. With a couple of my courses have a more traditional exam that's just done in that assigned time. But if it's not, I really clearly state that whatever the cumulative activity it is, say it's a project or a paper or something like that, I really clearly state on the syllabus that that is the final evaluative exercise. And I typically have it due sometime in the window around the assigned final exam time, just to try to, one of the things the schedule does for students is allow them to space out their work a bit. And so I try to kind of keep that schedule for them to the degree that I can. Are you looking for me to say anything else about that?
No, that's
Okay.
good. And then the other thing I wanted to add to that, if you're teaching an early childhood class and it's a senior level class, so that's going to be the senior one practicum, that will be our motivating and managing class. That will be schools, curriculum, and society for, yes, there's a section of schools, curriculum, and society that's for our seniors. I'm not sure which one, we'll have to find out. I will say that I met with Jennifer Smith last week, and those students have to they have to come back earlier because they're starting their student teaching earlier than the rest of the TCU population. And so I believe that Jennifer Smith may recommend that they have a take-home assignment or a take-home final that's due. That way they have a little bit more time to spend with their families over the break. Dr. Heil, do you know when Fort Worth ISD resumes? I'll put you on the spot as I put you on the spot. When they start?
Fort Worth ISD starts the week of August 15th, but every district is different. We have some student teaching in Castleberry, and they start on August 10th next week. So we have some starting very soon.
And what about after the winter break? Do you know when they come back?
After winter break, the districts typically start on January 2nd or 3rd. They start very early.
Yeah. All right. Anything else about syllabi to share here?
I think Cindy, I put it in the chat just to remind people that whatever syllabus we gave you as an example, there are very likely TEA requirements that need to be listed. So please do not remove those. So if you do use the Kaler Center template, please make sure you keep the TEA. What am I trying to say, Adam?
The narrative, the standards and the
The
narrative.
standards that are listed.
We have to list which TEKS or which teacher educator standards are in each course. So the syllabus you get from the faculty should have those included already. So include those as part of your syllabus.
And you can make the print really small if you don't want it to take up 20 pages.
Cindy, I'll just say that, yeah, I know a lot of you have taught classes for us before, but if you're new, please reach out to me or any of us with syllabus or TCU online help. I just helped Omar earlier today set up TCU online, and it doesn't take that long if you know it really well. So just reach out to one of us.
Absolutely. And if you're teaching a senior one field experience class, Dr. Heil and I are still working in those placements. Right now, we're in negotiations with Fort Worth ISD. So we hope to have more information for you in the next week or two. All right, going to go on to instructional technology. If you've taught with us before, our previous contact was Justin Botros. He was our designated tech support, and he has left TCU for another position elsewhere. So we don't have a designated tech support person. They're, I believe, still searching for a replacement. So here's that should be 817, not 917. Sorry about that. I'll have to update that. And then also the email address. In each one of the classrooms, this phone number is posted on the wall or on the computer, and they are really fast. So if you have a problem during class time, they can either talk through it right there with you, or they can send someone over right away to help. We have also a new system in our college. If you need to make copies, you have to get a specific print code, and that would be something that we would probably have Anna or Lori work with you, or Maria. So if you want to make your own copies, you would need to get one of those codes. And for most of us, I think we put they're little round stickers, like a tag, like an air tag, and we just stick them on our TCU IDs. We do ask when you're printing materials that you limit as much as you can the information that you provide in hard copies. As much as you can upload to TCU Online, that's good. Some dates to remember for the fall semester. Our classes start on Monday, August 22nd. We will be having Family Weekend, September 30th through October 2nd. We don't have our activities determined for that weekend. That is the OU TCU game weekend. So it's also my birthday. I'm sure everybody is really excited to celebrate my birthday with me. But anyway, so that's the end of September. We have fall break, October 6th and 7th. That is a Thursday and a Friday. So classes will recess at 10 o'clock on the 5th. So classes all day on Wednesday, October 5th will take place, but then the 6th and the 7th, they will not. You will find that week that some students will, just take the whole week off. So you might not see them on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday because they're not going to be around Thursday and Friday either, but that is not an excused absence. And now TCU actually has a full Thanksgiving week. And that was something that we started this past year. So November 21st, that's a Monday, through the 27th. I think that's a Monday, but anyway, it's the 21st to the 27th. We have study days on December 9th, 8th and 9th. That's a Thursday and a Friday. And everybody remind me if I'm misremembering this, but I believe you cannot at Proctor any exams or have any assignments due during study days. Those are intended to be dates for students to actually focus on preparing for finals. Am I saying that correctly? All right, our final exam schedule. Oh, I did put it in here. So we won't know until sometime in October when and where our finals will take place, and we'll communicate with you. We can't reserve any rooms in advance. We can't make any special deals with our students for that. And those, if we're doing something that has to be a specific date and time in person on campus, it will have to be where the registrar tells us we need to be that week. Then tentatively on Friday, December 16th, we will have our senior pinning event. All adjuncts and faculty and people that care about our students are welcome. It will be sometime in the afternoon. It's a little bit of a dance to get that scheduled at the end of each semester because we're competing with, there's a really nice honors event that takes place. And then we also have a graduate hooding event that takes place all on the same day. So we're trying to navigate, how do we schedule this to where students can be in 2 or 3 places at the same time? And then Saturday, December 17th will be our graduation events. And then maybe the most exciting thing is that this year marks TCU's 150th year of being a university. So we will be planning, I think, a lot of things this year and probably a lot of things next year. And also on August 20th, Saturday, we'll have 3 things happening. We have the Chancellor's Assembly, the Frog's First Dinner. So if you've done Frog First in the past, you knew that it used to take place in people's homes. So, and buses would take students all over the Fort Worth community to have dinner with the family. But now it's this past year and now again this year, it happens on campus. This summer, it's going to be on in the grass in the stadium. They say everything will be covered, so hopefully it won't be too hot. It'll be at 6:30 that evening. And then following that will be Chancellor's Assembly, which is a really neat opportunity. It's an inspiring experience for faculty and staff and students to come to in Schulmeyer Arena. And then beyond that, beginning at probably around 9 o'clock, there'll be refreshments, music, and of course, a lot of fireworks over in the Commons. So you're certainly welcome to attend that if you want. And the convocation, Chancellor's Assembly and convocation for faculty, if you would like, you can proceed in your regalia, but you don't have to. It's up to you for that event. All right, football games, just a heads up on when our home games are. The only date that we know is the 7 p.m. game for Tarleton. All the others, the times are announced generally about a week before the game. So again, if you're doing something on the night before or the day before, you'll get emails about when you have to have your car off campus, even if you have a parking permit for those spaces. You'll also see typically faculty and staff might send an email out to the whole college saying, hey, I'm looking for a couple of extra tickets for this game, or hey, I'm not going to the game. Does anyone want my tickets? So if there are, if there's a game or two that you particularly would like to go to and you're trying to find tickets, you are welcome to send an email to us as a college. I wouldn't send it to the whole university faculty and staff, but you can send an email out like that. And the games are pretty fun event. We'll probably, my guess is, and I don't know, but last year we had for family weekend, we had a College of Education tailgate over at the Alumni Center.
We are going to have a homecoming tailgate, which is October 22nd is the homecoming game. So all of you are welcome to come tailgate and see our alumni and students on the 22nd.
Well, nice. I did not know
I just
that.
got that approved by the dean this week. So
oh, nice. Perfect. Will it be over at the alumni? Is that what you just said? The alumni
over
center?
by the alumni center, yeah.
Okay. That was a nice event last year.
It was a lot of fun.
Too much food, but a lot of fun. All right, so now I just want to open it up to say thank you for teaching with us and then also answer any questions that you might have. It's a lot of information.
Cindy, where is the university on the mask and COVID and now monkeypox and things like that? Where are we on that?
Great question. So we are back to pre-COVID. We do have I don't know if anybody can find the link and drop it in the chat. It's called Protect the Purple. And it's kind of like, what do you do if you find out if you have tested positive? There's, some steps there, but I mean, we have the technology in the classroom to be virtual with our students. It is not required for you to do that at all. It depends. So this past spring, what I did with my class was if we were covering content that was not going to be like interactive and engaging, and a student was out, I had no problem with, setting up the Zoom link and they could watch that way. But anytime we were doing small group activities or something like that, if they were out, I just, told them it just wasn't going to work. So it kind of depends on how you want to approach that.
I think I did see, Cindy, correct me if I'm wrong, or Steve or Brandy, if you remember this. I think I remember the provost saying that faculty, if a faculty member says, I want students to wear a mask, you can put that on your syllabus and request that they wear masks. Is that, I'm seeing a lot of head nodding. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I remember that now.
The only thing I was wondering is I was trying to remember if there was a qualification in there about like if the community levels were still high, which we've hit that level right now, that we would be able to say that. And so, but there was some kind of provision for being able to require it in your class.
Yeah, I didn't notice that, Brandy. Thank you. But we can follow up if somebody has that specific plan in mind. We can follow up and make sure that we have all the specifics correct.
Adam, are you receiving any communication from the school districts on for field work?
I haven't heard of any school districts that are requiring masks at this time, but our students who are out in the field, they have a juggling act because they need to follow all TCU rules because they're a TCU student. So if they test positive themselves, they still need to register with the Protect the Purple and follow the guidance of TCU. But they also need to follow the rules of the school district where they're visiting. So I know Fort Worth ISD required masks long after TCU did. So our students, still had to wear masks in the district. So they should follow the rules of the district where they're visiting.
Okay. And then Kristen had a question about what happens if we test positive. Well, if you're sick and you can't teach, then please don't. I mean, if you want to be virtual, you could do that for a class. We're definitely not virtual on a regular basis. You could also give an alternative activity. So let's say if there's maybe a documentary that aligns with really well with what you're covering and you want students to watch that and then write a reflection, it could be an alternative activity and an assignment for that week. Anything else? Thanks, Brandy, for that. Okay. Well, we're so excited to have you with us, and it's going to be a great semester. It's going to be a fun semester, I think, as we kick off our 150th year and, get further back into feeling like we're living in a new reality. I don't want to say normal. It's never going to be the old normal, but it's going to be a great fall semester. So thank you so much for joining. I will get this recording and create a link and send it out to everyone just so you have it for your reference, along with Jessica and also Melody. I want to check with you about whether or not you need to attend that adjunct orientation. My suspicion is probably not. So.
And Cindy, when you send that link, several people have requested the PowerPoint.
Okay.
You may have already been planning to send that, but
yes.
Thank you.
All right. Well, you guys enjoy your